more attention. It's all yours.
All right. We've all seen the movies. Someone copies a fingerprint off of a glass, champagne glass, take it, they put it onto a rubber glove, go up to security panel, use that fingerprint, and then get through. Or, the even more uncommon is someone knocking someone unconscious, dragging their body across the floor, holding their head up to a scanner, and they're in the system. Although that is technically possible, it's a little bit probably more easier to guess a password. So what is biometrics? Biometrics can be summed up in two words: bio meaning life, metrics meaning measure. If you look at your driver's license, you'll actually see your eye color, your hair color, your height, your weight. Those are all physical characteristics specific to you. It's a measure of your physical character. The problem with those is they can change. You can put contacts in your eyes, change your color, you can dye your hair, you can shrink as you get older, or you can gain some weight or lose weight at any time. So how does biometric security work? Simple. You just register your physical characteristics into a database, and then you go to authenticate the next time. We'll talk about fingerprint scanners first. They essentially use a photo sensor to capture the ridges and valleys in your fingers. There is a number of them. Each one of them is unique. So you can see the ridges, you can see the valleys shown by white. Some of them can even register your pulse, so that way nobody's cutting your finger off and carrying it around, opening doors with it. Some of the pros to fingerprint scanners, well, they're cheap and they're small. I mean, you buy a new laptop today and you may even have one installed on it. It doesn't take much more than a thumb drive or 10 or 15 bucks to buy one. They're unique, even to twins, two identical twins or triplets. They will each have their own separate fingerprint. One of the bigger advantages to a fingerprint is you cannot lose your fingerprint or you cannot forget your fingerprint. It's always on your finger. Some of the cons is it does require physical contact. So if you're in the middle of flu season, 20 people just went up and touched the fingerprint scanner, nobody's wiped it down. I don't know if I'd want to touch that. And also you are subject to physical deformities, paper cuts, burns, lose your finger in an accident. It can happen and you won't be able to use it. Hopefully you registered more than one finger in the database. Facial recognition is another technology that seems to be growing over time. It uses your facial features essentially to distinguish who you are. It'll take measurements like between your eyes or the distance of your lips and just try to piece together who's who. Some countries and casinos actually already use them to track people and keep an eye on who's doing what and who's where at what time. It can be easy to implement. Just a simple camera system or even a webcam can do basic facial recognition. I know like Windows computers, you can actually just log in using your face with a webcam if you set it up. They don't require any physical contact. You can be a couple feet away. Some of the more advanced ones, they can hang them on a light pole that may be able to detect who you are. They can have a high reject rate though, simply because there's so many different facial features that it's going to look for. You and I might have similar features that it's actually trying to learn. Or if you turn your head a little bit too much to the side, it might not recognize you. Or if you're smiling or you're sad or different expressions or emotions can cause a reject on your facial scan. The iris scanner uses an infrared LED to track the landmarks and patterns on your eye. It has similar traits as a fingerprint where it recognizes different patterns, spots, everything else to say who's who. It is unique to you as well, much like a fingerprint. You can stand up to about a meter away from an iris detector and it will scan you. So there's no contact required. It has a very low failure rate and your iris will not change over time. However, lining up your eye to some of the scanners may be difficult for some people. They may be shorter, they may be taller, maybe handicapped. It can cause issues when trying to use an iris scanner. An eyelash can cause a failure on a cheaper system, maybe not a more advanced system that you might see at a higher corporate level or an airport, but if somebody's just got a low end one, it could cause a failure. Voice recognition uses essentially pauses and tones to detect your voice and recognize your voice. Some of the more advanced ones can actually learn your speech patterns, so it can actually, if somebody sounds similar to you, it's not gonna, as long as they don't have the exact same pauses and fluctuations as you, it's not gonna work for them. They're currently used, you can find them on a phone or a computer even for some of the more common ones. So therefore it can be cheap, just a simple application you can download, some of them even for free. And it's non-intrusive as you're just talking. If you're sick though, or you're not feeling in a good mood, your fluctuations and pauses might be a little different. That can cause an issue, as well as some background noise if you happen to be standing outside and horns honking. I know that's happened to me a few times. Things to consider when you're looking into biometric security is one, you want to look at the cost. Are you able to spend top dollar for that high upgrade for the iris scanner? The type of security that you're going to implement, maybe you don't want to use voice recognition in a library where it's supposed to be quiet, or you don't want to use that fingerprint scanner in a health lab where they deal with germs more than often. You want to take into effect how easy is it to spoof. Like I said, you can copy a fingerprint and use it that way. Not likely, but it can happen. Revocation. It's a lot harder to revoke a physical biometric than it is a password. You can't just go in and delete it. Once it's in there, it's generally in there. The compatibility with your system, that kind of goes along with cost. Is it going to cost you a lot to upgrade? Is what you're getting compatible with what you already have? That can save you some money. And how easy is it to manage your database? Those all kind of go into consideration. And where can you find biometric securities today? You can find them on personal computers, cell phones. Some cities over in Europe will use them downtown for the facial recognition. You can find them especially in police and homeland security. They want to know who everybody is and where they're all at. Airports is becoming more popular, like I mentioned earlier, casinos, and essentially anywhere that needs an access code to get in, you can find a biometric security device. Any questions?
As far as facial recognition software,
Mm-hmm.
I played with that a little bit years ago. Do you see any new ones out or something that was kind of cool, consumer level wise? Like, say for logging in your computer, door access, anything like that?
All I really saw was more of the basics,
Okay.
just like logging into Windows, trying to get that password.
My sister has the facial recognition on her computer.
She does, okay.
She does.
She does.
However, apparently our facial features are so much alike that I can log into her computer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I have to just do, her little smile
Yeah.
thing that she does, and it'll recognize and let me right in.
Right. Well, the only reason I asked was my wife used to work for a cardiologist, right? And there's an app out, Phil's put it out, called Vital Signs. And you can look into the camera of the iPhone or the iPad, and it'll take your heart rate and your breathing rate within seconds just by looking into the camera.
Wow.
And it uses, facial recognition, it uses the actual blood vessels and your movements of your face to determine your breathing and heart rate. It's amazing.
There's one like that
I've got one on my phone if you guys want to play with it quickly, but actually pretty cool.
I've got one on here that it operates with the flash of your camera.
Yeah.
And you put your hand against it, and it actually works the same way a pulse oximeter at a hospital does.
Oh, okay.
It takes those color changes, but actually by shining bright light at your flesh to get perfect readings.
Because I guess when you breathe in and breathe out,
Yeah.
your face turns different color. We don't know
I looked at the facial
No, I
scan.
didn't go that in depth.
There was one I
I've
came
got-
across that measures
got
the
this baby
muscles
running if you wanna
and the blood
play with
vessels
it.
that run through
You have to hold
to
your
give a
face
more
steady
like
right in the middle of it.
3D dimension of the facial scans.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's very
Well, he's got the phone up here with that Philips app, if you guys wanna play with it. It just takes literally 30 seconds to determine your heart rate. It's crazy. They use it, as soon as patients come in, they actually they use this app. It's nuts. It's pretty simple too.